Tina and JD Miller, thank you very much for agreeing to speak with me. It's wonderful to see you virtually. How are you both doing?
Doing well. Yep. I think I might have to sit on my husband's lap, the real sweetheart, so that I can remain in the picture.
Tina, it's not this kind of video streaming episode, okay? So let's just keep it clean, okay? This is a family show.
All right. Family. It's family.
Family oriented.
Okay.
I'm so happy to be the music director of the Vallejo Symphony. And there's so many wonderful things that have come out of it. And amongst the most wonderful has been meeting two of you.
Thanks.
I think you're tremendous people. You're tremendously supportive. You're utterly genuine. You've got brilliant senses of humor. Well, you know, mainly.
One of us does. One of us does. Yeah.
I'm trying to keep this civil. I'm trying to keep.
I know.
So look, one of the things that I'm doing, I've been doing it with my orchestra here in New Zealand, but I've begun to do it for the Vallejo Symphony, is to speak to our family, you know, the wider circle of people that make the orchestra run. And, you know, of course, I've been speaking to musicians. I've been speaking to our new composer in residence, who you'll all be meeting very, very soon, and board members. But I thought the most important thing to do would be to speak to the most important part of any arts organization. And that is, of course, the people that love the art, that come to the concerts, that support the orchestra. And I think you two are ideal people to interview in that regard. I'll put this over to you. Why do you come to our concerts? What on earth possesses you?
Yes, we are possessed by the energy, by the vibrancy. And that all comes through that magical conductor.
Where?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to trade seats because I'm trying to get my best side here. So.
He doesn't have a bad side.
I couldn't possibly comment, JD.
The energy, the vibrancy.
I guess there's something about music that is really great. And the fact is that, you know, my colleagues in the orchestra have a real passion for what they do. And I'm glad that comes across to you.
Yes.
It does.
I love Vallejo. I think the downtown is amazing. One of the aspects about my whole journey to Vallejo that I do every time is the fact that I fly to SFO, I take BART to the ferry building, and then I take this beautiful hour-long ferry trip, both to and from Vallejo. Mm-hmm. And it is so gorgeous. There's something for me about Vallejo that's wonderful, and the downtown especially is just so picturesque. It's been untouched. It's very clean, and the jewel, in my opinion, in the crown of downtown Vallejo, of course, is the Empress Theater.
Definitely.
It's it's an old converted movie theater, but the interior dimensions are those of a shoebox, so it sounds and feels like a proper hall. I mean, in miniature, but it gives back in the way that a great hall gives back. Do you think that that venue has something to do with your enjoyment of the orchestra?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because we've been members for years. We put up with the Hogan Auditorium, and I mean it was at least a venue that the symphony could perform here in Vallejo. But once the Empress was made available, became a center that the symphony could consider. That once the symphony was there, there's no comparison to the enjoyment of the symphonic experience. And I mean, before the Vallejo Symphony was there, Tina and I attended the San Francisco Chamber Orchestra.
Yes. Yeah.
And they had like 3 performances in Vallejo. And by the time we found out about it and got the seats, we were as far up in the nosebleed section as you could get. Now, while it could have been more comfortable climate-wise, there was little difference to the enjoyment of the symphonic experience that far away from the stage as it was where we normally sit, which is right in the center. Because we prefer those seats, not up front with a lot of the other people.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's a bad seat in the place to enjoy the Vallejo Symphony.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, that's really rare with halls. You know, even if you go to Davies, it's in a modern hall, Davies Symphony Hall is very good, but there are patches in the hall that are a little dead or a little muffled or what have you. But yeah, there's just something so vibrant and alive and clear, and yet also warm in the Empress. Now, look, one of the things about the Empress that I really like, because I'm a bit of a foodie and winey kind of guy, is the fact that, you know, they've got this great bar next door. Do you hold, do you hold stock in conviviality after concerts and during?
No, that might not be a bad fundraiser.
Yes. We do.
Yeah. One of the strains of conversation I've been having here in New Zealand, but also with my friends and orchestral family in Vallejo, is the idea of what the meaning of music is. And, you know, is it a simple sort of binary, oh, we go to a concert to hear the great work of art bestowing its wisdom upon us, or is it a sense of a dialogue between the composer, of course, the musicians, and then I think most importantly you, the audience, who are the interpreters of what they hear. Speaking personally, for me, I really feel the interest levels, the enjoyment levels of an audience when we perform. Do you, and I do feel that it's not just a passive event for an audience. Where do you stand on this idea?
It's definitely not a passive experience for me. I mean, I don't like coming into the performance once it's already started. I'm there, I'm going to get settled.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I can get a glass of good wine. They let me bring it in. I can sit there and just relax and enjoy the experience. And it's definitely, for me, it's emotionally moving.
I love how it stimulates my brain.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to talk a little bit about that, because both of you are extraordinarily fascinating people. Not only do you support the orchestra through ticket purchases, but I know that you support the orchestra in other ways as well. But in terms of, Tina, I'm speaking to you in particular, part of your career is a kind of stimulation. I want to speak about that a little bit. What
Absolutely.
exactly is it that you do?
I love
Namaste.
it. Love it. The great mystery shall be revealed.
Yeah.
I am a therapeutic humorist. I have been educated and participated in the ability to engage people in laughter, intentional laughter that is healthy and productive for their brain and their body. Therefore, I'm invited by a multitude of groups, organizations, corporations, where their particular community is in need of stress management, relaxation, deep breathing for the physical body, and engaging the brain. And laughter is a tool to facilitate that and provide a lot of fun in the process. And people have, right now I'm in a pilot program with the county that knows about me and invited me because of my expertise. So I am working weekly with groups of people in the county through this program that have never heard of laughter yoga, laughter therapy. Tina Miller, I will say there's some people on the different Zoom calls that know me, and those are the doctors. It's been a real surprise, a delightful surprise, because I never know who's going to be in the gallery.
Yeah.
And when that comes up on the screen, then I see some faces that have invited me to speak to their group. And we begin all of my sessions with some stretching, some deep breathing, a little bit of science in there, but people want to get right to it. They want to be able to laugh right away. And I get engagement in that regard. And then we just have fun, because once people let down their guard, their self-consciousness, they start laughing. And it doesn't matter if you're in a gallery, you know, I can point like, oh, here comes the phone, and I'm going to be on the phone right now, and we're going to laugh. And then I'm going to pass that phone over to the next person in the next gallery slot. And it's been an education for all of us using this tool of Zoom. But I was in a graduate program for the last 3 years. And when Zoom was just initiating, that was our tool to meet with everybody within the program. So 3 years ago, we started using it. But getting back to the laughter, so patients in the hospital, mental health patients, corporate, Indeed, Roche Pharmaceuticals, Kaiser Hospitals in California, the American Cancer Society, and dialysis patients. So I'm the first in the country to create and put together a program for dialysis patients while they're undergoing their dialysis.
Right.
And I have done it with them while they're in the clinic. So I speak to doctors, I speak to the community, whatever the need is. I find that, and it's groups that have health and mental health issues, and they're looking at their challenges, and this is a way to just open up. And when they relax that way, it allows a lot of the, what I like to call the happy chemicals, flooding the body. Our brains, lizard brain, prefrontal cortex, all of that jargon just throws people. And they don't, on one half, they want to hear why, but I explain to them through one of my talks is a DOSE, D-O-S-E, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And I explain to them, when we're laughing, the body doesn't know the difference, chemically, physically speaking, but through the nerves, it sends a message to the brain. The brain and the brain is a non-emotional tool. So it's recording this, oh, physically, the body's laughing. I have to do my part. I'm releasing that dose into the body and the brain. So you want more of that. So when I work with like a soldier that has PTSD and has daily triggers, that can be anything, a siren, a loud bang on the door, I give them a tool that they can relax and, you know, tamper down the parasympathetic, et cetera, in the brain, and release what chemicals that are positive.
Wow.
Has that helped you at all?
It does. I mean, it's so inspiring, Tina.
Thank you.
And throughout your talk just now, I was thinking about so many parallels between the effects of laughter, the effects of what you're trying to instill, and the effects of live music. So I was talking to Bruce Crisp, who's a board member trombonist, who you know, of course, and he was talking about this thing that we as listeners and musicians chase, this deep emotional connection. I don't know if you ever get the shivers when you listen to music.
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's something that doesn't happen, well, unfortunately not to me all the time, but when it does, it's just this uncontrollable physical response to something that it's almost incoherent. You just have no idea of what's triggered it, yet so there's something almost magical to me about music. And, you know, I think a lot of it is sharing, and this is, I think, a parallel with what you do in your yoga classes, laughter yoga classes, sharing the laughter, the jokes, or sharing the art together. It's on my shoulder here.
Yes, the Almighty is coming in. Yes.
90 personality.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Avert your eyes, please. Yeah, so I mean, I think that was really quite profound listening to you speak about that, because in our own ways, through laughter or through recreative art, performance, and of course what you do is performance as well,
Right.
there is a sense of being part of something larger, tending to, you know, our souls, our needs, what have you. But now, JD, I don't want to leave you out of this, because
What?
you know,
I'm used to basking in her glory. No, that's fine.
Tina, you spoke about dose, and of course
Yes.
the E is endorphins. And JD,
Right.
of course, you are absolutely no stranger to endorphins. You got the physique of someone in their mid-30s, even though you look about
Oh, I knew I
45.
liked you. Thank
But
you.
it's true.
Thank you,
No,
Mark.
you look a little older than that. I mean, maybe 44, 45-ish. So what is your passion, sir?
Thank you.
Other than your wife?
Yeah, number one. Yeah. 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 The number one, Tina. Second, family, especially the grandkids,
Yeah.
grandnieces and nephews. Third is making and drinking great California wine. I'm part of a group makes California award-winning wine. Fourth is running. I do a half marathon, except right now. I do a half marathon every month. And I did a 21 miler at Big Sur on my 75th birthday 2 years ago. Was scheduled to do the Big Sur Marathon. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Scheduled to do the Big Sur Marathon this last April, 2 days before my 77th birthday, but COVID-19 got in there, so they're putting that off until next year. So I'll be 78. Hopefully I can schedule the Big Sur, because you have to actually queue up and get in the right spot to get an invite. But yeah, and then community involvement is the fifth one. So there's 5 things in my life that really give me a reason to live.
That's brilliant. So
Starting with her.
yeah.
And his work.
Yes, family work. So I mean, you know, what I'm hearing is looking after yourself physically, mental stimulation, and substance abuse.
Yeah.
And family. If I can paraphrase it.
That's right.
He's not happy. He's not happy.
No.
He needs more Cabernet.
Yeah. Don't we all?
When I work with my clients in my business, one of the first things I tell them is that we have to focus on you being able to enjoy life the way, according to your rules, the way you want to. Because if you don't do that, the rest of it really doesn't matter. Yeah. And so that's a real challenge for an awful lot of people, because they're just used to just kind of doing things on a day-to-day basis without thinking about how am I going to be able to continue to enjoy life the same way for the rest of my life. And when I can get them to focus on that, all of a sudden things free up and they can start finding other reasons, because what we do is work together, make sure money is never an obstacle. It's a tool they know that they can use. And then they can free themselves up to be able to look at life differently, to find those things that really matter in their lives and focus on enjoying them. And the symphony, for Tina and me both, the symphony is an important part of that, because it's part of our community involvement, but it also gives us something to look forward to.